Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. We have Ole Dammegård back again. Ole, you're becoming quite the crowd favorite. We have epic views on some of the stuff that you're bringing forward. So we're back to Maui, and you're seeing something going on in Florida as well. So that should be interesting, maybe to tie that in. So what have you been up to lately?
It's been nonstop Maui, and I wish I was a favorite because of good stuff, and because of mad incidents like this. So I've done so many shows lately. First of all, I want to say, give a really big shout out to an incredible researcher called Peggy Hall, who is really on this case. And I really want to salute her for what she's doing. And one thing though that I think she's not aware of, and if she would like to join forces or contact me or whatever, is this whole Space Force thing, where these attacks came from, which I think is extremely important to point out. Also, because when there are operations like this, the truth can be, like, the conspiracy behind it can be massive, but it's just like a landmine, the trigger or a bomb. You just need to disconnect the trigger and the whole thing is useless. So that is what I'm trying to do with this truth, to become as laser-light as possible, and then pull the trigger out so that they cannot use it again in other places. So I don't really know where to start, but I would say over all of these years, when I looked into these type of operations, there's a very specific setup. There's a system to the madness. And so I wanted to describe just like, how would an operation like this, what would it look like if it was their operation, not a natural event, not an enemy attack? How would it look? What would they look? And I based this on many years of research, and also Fletcher Prouty, the world's best whistleblower ever, who was Mr. X in the JFK movie, and who taught me a lot from the inside of how these operations are carried out. Because what he said is, when you look into these type of things, look at what did not happen, what did not go the normal way, instead of focusing only on what occurred. So this is one of the things I try to do, and it's really helped me. So first of all, it has been blamed on Chinese satellites. People are pointing to the east, saying they're the ones doing it. I want to say that, dear Michael, you are in a country that likes to bomb the living bejesus out of countries if they even do anything wrong. And here, that would be an act of war if China had done something like that. And I think interesting also the Hawaiian Islands, because Pearl Harbor in the Second World War, on just a stone throw away from Maui, was the thing, a false flag. No, not a false flag, but a very inside job connected operation that got the US into the Second World War big time. So here we are again. And so if it had been China, I think the US would have been just like, my God, let's go to war. Let's retaliate, all of it. That is not what we see. We see the exact opposite of, they're looking the other direction. They're calling it climate change. And also, like dear Mr. non-elected Joe Biden said, we're looking forward to see FEMA come in and finish the job. His words, finish the job. What does that mean? So China, I think, out of the picture. Yeah, but they had spy satellites, a balloon. Do you think balloons are the most advanced technology the Chinese had? And if so, if it was a spy balloon, don't you think they would have painted it light blue so that you wouldn't be able to see it on the sky? But here instead it was white so that everybody could spot it, and then it could be shot down. So really, I think China's out of the way. Then we got climate change. This is because of climate change. Okie doke, let's look at that one. So climate change says that it is changing the weather model in the world, that it's causing drought, it's causing floodings, it's causing heavy rains, it's causing all of these weird things. So that's one thing. But if we look at if there is a fire, the fire, because of what they claim climate change, would just be a fire, a normal fire with normal effects of a fire. There wouldn't be any anomalies. There would just be more fires or floodings or whatever it is they say. That is not what we see here. We see the very, very opposite of it. So climate change, whatever you think of that, thank you, good night, out the window, off stage to the left. So what does that leave us with? It leaves us with a crime scene that is very, very odd, to say the least. We have all of these strange anomalies regarding the fire. There's, instead of a fire starting in one place, winds blowing in a certain direction, the fire that could be caused by anything from a spark to a piece of glass that has been left in the sun, arson, whatever, but it would be a normal fire that just spreads, starts in one place, and then continues depending on how strong the wind is. It needs oxygen to be fed, and also you can stop it by, if there's a highway or a river, or you cut sort of like a, I don't know what you call that, but sort of like a big empty road where you cut down all the trees so that that the fire cannot be fed. That would stop the fire. This is not what we see here. Also, we see in a normal fire that if the trees are really dry, if there's been very little rain in the area for quite a while, then the trees turns on fire. First of all, the leaves, the branches, all of that, that is the thing first of all. And then depending on how intense the fire is, you got other materials that is consumed as well. But we got concrete is not affected, steel is not affected, aluminum not affected, like that. This is, and also the fire comes from outside going in. So the bark of the tree goes first, and then slowly, whatever it is, from the outside in. Here we see the exact opposite, from the inside out. How is that even possible? We also see that it seems like anything that is not in direct touch with metal does not burn. So trees, lawns, plastic, paper, whatever it is, if there's not a direct contact with metal, it's unaffected, absolutely unaffected. There's not even nothing to it. Instead, we see, like, for instance, you can see like wooden fences where the fire has burned out around the nails, but the tree is intact. You got like steel frames, doors on houses, where the wooden the wooden stairs outside are completely intact if they have not used nails. If they use like normal like wooden plugs or whatever, if there's no nails, it's untouched. And then the house can be leveled right next to it. Very bizarre.
Lost your sound. There it goes. You're back again.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so hopefully nobody's gonna mess with it. But anyway, we see melted glass, which is extremely intense. I mean, temperatures that is unbelievable to melt glass. And yet right next to it can be a green tree or something like that, completely untouched. Very odd, very odd. We see empty cars completely burnt out. I mean, nothing is left. The tires are gone. The rims are melted if they're made of aluminum. Parts of the engine, if it's made of aluminum, melted. Extreme heat is needed for that. And no people, we don't see any people, no victims. They seem to have been vaporized, if you ask me. They're just not there. And if you compare these type of weird things, I was mentioning the main fires in 1947, but many of them over the years have been, when you look at California fires, but also now in Canada and Greece and Sweden and Spain, and there's so many countries that have been affected by fires with similarities here. And where the main fires, we were talking about that last time, that I would strongly suggest that we have to look into Nikola Tesla's death rays, so-called death ray, that invention that was stolen from him, and when he was murdered in 1943, and then the main fires were 47. And since then, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, these type of companies say that they have developed so-called directed energy weapons for more than 50 years. So with time-wise, we're sort of like, okay, what is going on here? Lasers, directed energy weapons, particle beams, this type of technology that is very, very different to what we see as natural. So it's like, for instance, when you look at very odd things, like, for instance, you've got tires of these cars that are melted, you know, they're just disappeared. The only thing that is left is the metal cord inside the tires. Except sometimes there are tires lying there, they have been right in the fire, but they're untouched until you see that it's nylon cords or polyester cords, not metal. Then they're left intact. So it's very clear that whatever is causing this is more or less just like in a microwave. You can put in plastic, you can put in whatever, it doesn't even get hot. The food get hot because they say the atoms get activated. I believe that is where the heat comes from. But everything is fine. But if you put in like a spoon or a fork, you try that, put that into a microwave, and you will see some firework going on.
Yeah.
That, I believe, is what's going on here, among other things, because I think we're looking at maybe a combination of different technologies here. So one thing that is very odd, or not odd, but blue items are left untouched. And nowadays there are quite a few videos spreading showing lasers with different frequencies. As far as I know, the color of the laser, the frequency of the laser is left intact, and then everything else is burned to smithereens. So, and also the hertz of blue laser is 6.66. That's an interesting number for you. But here, so we got like garbage cans, we got parasols, we got like plastic items left untouched. And there were plenty of them to start with. Now the crime scenes are being cleared, and I think there's a lot of plastic items being transported out of the area so that we won't see, once the black fencing is taken away and we start looking into it, we would have noticed if there were like hundreds of garbage cans that was untouched and everything else gone. So here we also see that there's photos of collections of these, but they've started to collect them, and I think then transport them out of the area so that we won't notice the anomalies.
Yeah, another thing that they do is we saw this in some other places like Paradise. They have to come in and dig up the roads because the microwaves basically melt the piping onto the road. So they have to come in and dig up the roads and put in new piping, plastic piping, so that it won't get melted. So the roads underneath the, you know, asphalt is getting melted, the piping. So that's another thing. We start to see them digging up the roads around, which I don't know if we're going to see that because they got the fencing up, but if they start doing that, we know that that's the reasoning why. So they just, I just saw that they reduced the number of deaths. So, you know, they were supposedly all these people like were all over the islands, other islands had them washing up. They had them in like their lockers or whatever, you know, cold lockers, whatever. And then and now they just reduced the death count. So some of the people that we found was the DNA was just a match, so it wasn't actually another person. It was the same person. So they've reduced the death count now. It's well under 100 now. It's like 85 or something crazy.
Yeah, let's get back to that one. I call bullshit. So one thing that we noticed also, if we stay with the color blue, is that the buildings that were untouched had blue roofs, like a very distinct blue color. They were untouched. And so I thought, to start with, that's a coincidence. Then these cars started turning up, and you can see the cars the blue cars, it's not only that they're untouched, you know, the color blue, but it's the glasses that left in the car, the tires, everything is untouched. The asphalt is not melted around these cars that have been completely torched. But the asphalt that it gets, you know, like it gets soft even in sunlight, is untouched. There's not a mark. So very, very odd. And also what we saw was that in the middle of these fires, suddenly the water was turned off so that the fire brigade could not use it. Nobody could turn out the fires. What happened there? But so my question is, who turned out the fires? There was this blazing hell, water was turned off. How did the fire stop? But when you look at these fires, it's almost like the beam is so intense, and then when the beam is not there anymore, the temperature goes down, and also anything that is not in contact with metal, or even the things that are in contact with metal, once the energy beam is taken away, the temperatures goes down, and the fire just seems to more or less go straight down into the ground. We also have very strange anomalies with fires being continuing underground where there's no oxygen, but the fire is still there. You know, this is also, they have major problems turning it out. They can go on for weeks and months sometimes. So these type of cars, burnout cars, if you look at 9/11, they're identical. They are completely identical. So whatever was used at 9/11, I would very strongly suggest we're looking at the same type of weaponry here.
Mm-hmm.
And in New York on that horrible day, there was about 1,600, if I remember right, 1,600 cars that popped in the area. You know, they just popped, boom, boom, like popcorn. People saw they just started exploding down the street. Nobody could understand what was going on. Mm. But very similar, strong similarities between these vehicles and there. On 9/11, also you saw all the paper. I mean, the two biggest buildings in the world were dustified, literally dustified. No bodies, no file cabinets, no phones, no computers, no furniture, no nothing, no bodies, nothing except paper and dust, and sometimes rubber. So the forces that did 9/11, I would strongly suggest, could be very well connected to the same power sources we're seeing here. Please be aware of the dots and understand, was that done by 19 hijackers that flew into buildings, and then 9 of them survived and were still active pilots like a year later? Or was there something very odd and very different going on that day that was right in the heart of the US and started a whole global nightmare, the war of terror that was carried out in so many different countries, and is still continuing based on complete lies regarding who is the guilty parties here. So one thing also on the news, you mentioned like the Paradise Fires. Very often part of the operation is a psychological operation to keep people in fear, keep people out of balance, and also to push in clues and thoughts almost into the minds of us. And here, if you listen to the news outlets, very often they say the exact wording, paradise lost. This is a paradise lost. Oh, these horrible wildfires. Now another paradise lost. So we had the Paradise Fires also in California some years ago. But Paradise Lost, if you look at where that expression comes from, it was a book from 1667. I'm surprised that it wasn't 1666, but anyway. And it's a story about how Satan is fighting the light, you know, these two forces, good and evil. And so I think that is not a coincidence, that this is actually what what is going on. Pure evil is behind these operations. They're really, really sinister and extremely evil. And this is actually what is going on. So to go back to what I said before, if this would be an inside job, then the way they would do it is, first of all, the agenda has been going on for years. For years, the planning is way, they're planning way ahead. So these type of agendas, I'm talking about Agenda 21, also the Fourth Industrial Revolution with the World Economic Forum in the background, the New World Order, all of these are aiming to get a one world control power that controls everything, that owns everything, that where we are just user seeders that can be getting rid of, and everything will be in smart grids, completely controlled by AI and the elite few, or, well, you can call them other not so nice words, but where it's being pushed in that direction, where they fear us because we're in the billions, they're in the few thousands. So they want to get us into this grip where we cannot get out ASAP. That is the whole idea. And so the plan to take over has been in place for many, many years. And we're part of this so-called smart cities, 15-minute cities, and to get us into, it sounds great. I mean, 15 minutes, it actually, as far as I know, that idea came from Florida. I think there was a lot of quite overweight, lazy individuals that thought that, well, it would be really great to just not have to move at all and just have anything within reach, boom, like this. The only problem is, once these 15 minutes cities are in place, you will have everything you need right around the corner, but you won't be able to leave. It's like Hotel California, you know, you can check in anytime, but you'll never be able to leave. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We're getting there very fast also with driverless vehicles, autonomous vehicles that would be digital. It will be like on a fun fair. You can drive and suddenly the car just stops, you know, because boom, you cannot leave the grid. So while I remember it, you mentioned Florida before, and about 4 years ago, after Hurricane Michael, the US Army Corps, that were the same US Army Corps that did the laser testing, or whatever they did, laser mapping, I would call it, in January of this year on Hawaii, on the islands of Hawaii. That exact US Army Corps were doing 4 years ago something called Operation Blue Roof. Operation Blue Roof.
No way. Wow.
What they were doing was they were going out in Florida and saying, because of the damages from the hurricanes and so on, we will be happy to, for free, fix your roof. And the way they said that would help you with the next hurricane or whatever would be to use blue, like tarp, a special blue plastic material, 1 centimeter thick, that you could then put on your roof, and that would help you with hurricanes and so on. As far as I know, tarp has never really been the thing to stop hurricanes. But anyway, so yeah, there you go. And here we got FEMA again. I mean, these organizations, please understand, they are created to solve the problems that they create. I say that again, these organizations are created to solve the problems they create. Okay, so here they were doing it for free. You could just go in and say, please, I need a blue roof here. And they would then go out, handpick buildings and put for free this blue special tarp on these roofs. And now it's gone. This is 4 years ago. But I managed to find the website that was connected to that tarp. And it's waterproof, that's good. But it's also resistant against EMF and 5G. What? Have you ever heard about that before? That you had to protect yourself from EMF and 5G?
No.
So what I think is there was there's one called, is it called Blumenstadt or Blumentown or something like that, northwest of Florida inland, and then you got Harbor St. Joe. It's another one. These ones were the cities where you could go and apply, at least at the end of this operation, and say, please, I need it. What I believe what they were doing, possibly, I'm speculating now, is that they would go in these areas with these type of attacks in mind, go in, check out the real estate, saying that crap over there, sorry, you won't be able to get a new roof because whatever, that's not worth saving. But this building over there, that's a keeper. So we put blue tarp on there, and the rest can just be burnt to hell. Yeah. So if you're in an area like this and you've seen these blue roofs coming up, I would be slightly concerned, and also start to really put some pressure on, finding out what's actually going on, and start mapping. Please, people out there, I'm a one-man band. Peggy Hall is a one-man band. Help us map these circumstances, map these people, their backgrounds, where they come from, how they're connected, what buildings were left intact, what was burned down, to see what is actually going on here. So to get back there, the plan would have been done years ahead. It's a big agenda. And so the whole smart city, smart island, that whole thing has been in place for a long, long time, especially after 2017, when this started moving forward. Then what they do normally is that they need to control all aspects of the operation. So they will start infiltrating with their people like 1-2 years ahead, because what they need to is to be in complete control of the information outlet, media. They need to be in complete control of the investigation. So make sure that nothing is found. Everything is pointed, blamed on a patsy. I'm speaking now in general when it comes to these operations. They need to be in charge of the coroner, the autopsies, the bodies, like I said, the investigation, the police, the judges, the crime scene. They need to be in charge of the roads, the water, food supplies, these type of things, also so that they can, after this disaster happens, they can maneuver out the local population so that, because of your security, the water won't be safe, the food, I'm very sorry, we cannot get the food to you, you need to move out. Tourism will be shut down. They will say, because of the investigation, well, it's just, I'm very, very sorry, it's dragging out. We're doing our best. We're working nonstop day and night. And unfortunately, meanwhile, shops will just die because then they can't keep up. Tourism will disappear. The whole thing will become a desert, and people are leaving. They're not forced out. They're just saying, we need to leave. We're dying here. We can't even find food. So people will leave. That's the general idea. So do we see any of these patterns go in? Also, you'll see before the operation itself, there will be a drill. This drill will be, depending on the size of the operation, will be massive, often international. When they they test out other nations that are connected through Agenda 21 or NATO or Five Eyes, Nine Eyes, 14 Eyes, will take part of it. And then one nation will be the target nation. The other nations will be in the background saying, yeah, that worked out fine. Let's move on to step number 2 on the agenda, which will be the next nation and the next nation and the next nation. So that they fine tune and caliber their sites and how to become as efficient as possible. And then they keep blaming to the first one. Well, it occurred there, and now it's happening over here. It's incredible. Oh my God, the problem we thought was climate change is even bigger now. Maybe it's space climate that is changing or whatever. That they're now talking about atmospheric rivers and I don't know what kind of weird language they're starting to use, to point away from themselves. So let's see here. Was there Yeah, and then so they move in their people in key positions, like 1 or 2 years ahead, so that you will not see. They just we would notice if they sort of were appointed the chief of police like 3 days ahead or something like that. No, he was here a year, he was here 2 years ago. That's exactly how they do it. So they move these people in, and then there's like sleeping assets. They're called sleeping assets, and then if needed they get activated, boom, and then they are already in position. So once again, if you are in areas with blue top roofs and stuff, look, is there any weird things going on with police chiefs, or these type of people have been exchanged or moved in? Because in that case, you could be, I don't want to freak people out, but we need to be aware of what's going on here. So in this case, we had the police chief. He was the incident commissioner in Las Vegas during the mass shooting there. Incident commissioner, is that even a normal title? It sounds to me like maybe the guy who is in charge. That is such a weird event. It is not like a normal force like at all. It has multi-layered, I'm still confused. Most of these alleged shootings or terror attacks, I'm on top of them after a while. Once I started putting a few thousand hours into it, I'm on top of it. The Las Vegas one, still confused. What I know, the official story, absolute not a true word at all. So did the guy handle it well in Las Vegas? Well, say incredibly impressive police work, especially when the shooting started. If you listen to the official story, you could see the flashes from the guns from one window up on floor 32. So the police would be, with some kind of normal brain activity, would be like, let's go to that room on floor 32 and maybe stop him from shooting. It took them 72 minutes to locate him. What? It took them 72 minutes to be able to follow the sound of this massive gunfire and locate the room and stop him. No, they didn't stop him. He committed suicide, they say. So incredibly efficient police work. Not. So this guy, let's get him. He's a keeper. So this guy was offered a 30% raise. I think it was something like that. A lot of money to be headhunted from this city in the middle of a desert to a small Pacific island. I mean, yes, why? Nobody knows. He was even given $50,000 to move there, move his family. And then he was elected sheriff or chief of police there, bypassing the rules that they had to be a resident for at least 1 year to be able to be elected as head of the police. But here they just bypassed that one. There were 4 other local candidates that without the $50,000 move and that knew the island, and that, you know, why did they not choose one of them? No, they wanted Pelletier. And Pelletier, this John Pelletier, he thought, well, I'm going to bring my deputy as well. So we have the 2 ones from Las Vegas is suddenly in Maui in key position. Okay, so what they did was, for some reason, the atmosphere at the local police station became awful. The moral went low. So people, the old trusted police officers and investigators and you name it, you know, the old ones that have been there forever and ever, honest people, they just said, we're out of here. We can't take it anymore. So people that even had like a year or so left until pension, they left. They said, fuck it. It's not worth it. I can't take it. So they left and were replaced. Then you had the secretary of dear Mr. Pelletier, who not long after he arrived to Maui, she died in a car crash. Okay, so she had been working for the police force for 32 years. That is normally, these type of people, secretaries, are often the driving force in the background. They are the ones that are really doing the organizing of stuff, the ones that are really on top of it, you know, in the background, quiet individuals that are just doing the real job. She died in a car crash. That's very sad. So this car crash, you look at it, I don't know if I didn't mention it last time, but her daughter, it said that her daughter, grown-up daughter, was out delivering newspapers at 4 o'clock in the morning. Her daughter is like, I don't know, she looks like she's 25 or something. It's not like she was 8, or maybe she has more than one daughter. But anyway, she was out delivering newspapers, helping her daughter at 4 a.m. in the morning, when a thief appeared and stole her handbag. Okay, so the thief jumped into a car and took off, and Terry Jones, the secretary, jumped into her car, and there was a high-speed car chase, ending up with her crashing into a tree and dying. Okay, so when you look at, for one thing, that sounds a bit strange, that there's somebody hiding behind the trees out there, the bushes. Let's see if we can find a handbag at 4 a.m. I think it was a Thursday morning. It wasn't even a weekend. Jumping into a car, high-speed chase, and boom, she died. So there's only one photo from the crash scene. You see this car, the front of the car completely smashed in. But then they put, like the day after, the local news, TV news are there, and they put flowers and balloons and everything like on the tree where the accident occurred. But if you look at the lawn, there's no skid marks, there's no, you know, like if there's been a car crash, there's often oil spill, the piece is still left even though you cleaned it, there are tire tracks, skid marks, I mean, impact on the tree. We see nothing. There's nothing there. It's just a perfect lawn. So in my world, that is bullshit, bullshit, bullshit on steroid warning going off, saying like, what happened here? Did they, do you know, was there even a crash? Did they just transport the car, put it down there, take a photo and get rid of it? Or is it just Photoshop that photo? In any way, I find that's very suspicious. So anyway, we got Pelletier, he's moved in, and he's suddenly the chief of police there. So the chief of police they've secured him if this is an inside job, you know. So they also make him the coroner. So he is suddenly in charge of the bodies as well. Whatever bodies there's there, the body count, the DNA, all of that, same guy, who's also the one leading many of the press conferences. Please be aware of the press conferences. If this is an inside job, then everyone that is there in the press conference is in on it. They are the ones doing it. There might be someone that is forced to take part of it through blackmail, or they got them by the balls or whatever, but they will know that they're in on it. So it's wonderful. Every time there's a press conference like that, please note the names, please note the individuals. They are in the operation because they need to control the outlet, the information outlet. And just because it sounds like the reporters asking questions, you don't have to believe them, because dear old FEMA, when it was the Paradise fires, I think those were the fires, FEMA arranged a fake press conference where there was FEMA agents that was asking the questions. It was a big scandal afterwards that FEMA had arranged that, and they kept patting themselves on the shoulder saying, we did such an amazing job. Absolutely not true. Stage, control the media outlet. That is one of the key elements. So that's one of them. Then we have a mayor that was just appointed right before, who came in, who was a judge before, and a guy who's never been able to answer any questions at all. A very shady character, if you ask me. He was placed there. Then you had Governor Josh Green, who was just also, he just came into position there with the whole Agenda 21 Smart City UN agenda in place. He even spoke to the United Nations just a few, I think it was only a few weeks before, where they were going through the whole thing. And when you look at their website and you check the wording, it is very, very weird. And what they're talking about is a complete overtake, getting rid of the original setup of these places, getting rid of the local population, replacing them with workforces, and then smart grid, everything smart grid, a smart city, electrically powered. It's like, I love it when they say it's green because it's electric. Yeah, but where does the electricity come from? Like, because something needs to generate the power that then comes out of the electric system. It's not that it's just appearing out of the socket in the wall. No, it's not green. It's just being called green. And many times these batteries, if they use batteries, are highly toxic with lithium and stuff. There's another one for you. These islands are volcanic islands, and in the volcanoes, they're finding out that there are like many tons of lithium, which is a very expensive, very rare metal. So God knows what the agenda is there. Then we have the mayor who is there, the governor, the chief of police. Then the normal people that should be there, like the head of the fire brigade and also the emergency, they were not on the island. The fire brigade, the chief of the fire brigade, he was in Colorado, USA. Even though there had been warnings about hurricanes and stuff like that, you would think maybe you should postpone this whole thing. But he had flown to Colorado because his daughter was going to high school or so. So possible, I don't know. But then the head of the whole thing, the emergency services, he was at a conference, a FEMA conference in Oahu. I think it was in Honolulu. So the fires were on the 8th, and he was there. Did he come back to the island during the fires? Did he sort of like think maybe I should get my butt over there? I mean, there are flights going every hour. No, he just stayed until the 9th. Really? Yeah. So yeah, then we have the operation itself. If it was an inside job, what they would do, what I've seen over and over again, is that they turn out the electrical system so that routers, alarm system, all of these things get deactivated. They turn off the network for the cell phone so that people cannot communicate. They cannot be warned. They cannot say, this is what's happening, because they need to control the media outlet, the information outlet. That is crucial. Okay. They would then turn off all type of warning systems, like the sirens. There were 80 sirens on Maui that this morning did not work. The cell phone net also not working. The electricity was also turned off 6 hours before this happened. Just happened to be like that. And so, and they would be very specific with the target areas. We're talking about laser light strategy of what would be destroyed, what would not be destroyed. They would handpick areas of high-end real estate value, like beaches with great view. Here we got Front Street, that is also for shops and so on. That area, as far as I know, I haven't been on Maui, I've been on Big Island, but not Maui. The views are incredible. Also facing west, you got the sunset, the whole Paradise Island thing. And you also got sacred spaces there that very important for the Hawaiian people, where, and like one of these sacred spaces, they just, the Space Force, the guys that, if you ask me, were the ones carrying it out, they just happened to spill 700 gallons of diesel right on one of these sacred spaces in February. You know, very sorry, we have this diesel spill. And that was one of the places where the fire started. So the whole area had been drenched with diesel that would also be highly flammable, I think, after, or at least maybe it could be used to as an excuse. Well, this is one of the reasons. Okay, so then in these attacks, they would be very sure to terminate any kind of resistance. to this operation. And in this case, like original Maui population that had these islands for centuries, for so many generations, wholly small islands. You know, there's the only thing they don't have is more land. Land is sacred there. You know, these islands are in the middle of nowhere. So here we see that quite a few Hawaiian families and people have just said, it doesn't matter if you're white and you come with a very thick wallet. We're not selling because paper money is worth nothing. This is our holy land. So these people that have been standing in the way, I can guarantee you they're part of the dead, the list of dead individuals. Not only the people with loud voices, but also their families, their friends. This is how dictators go in. They destroy future problems. So they just take them out, all of them in one go. So did we see any of that there was sort of like any way of maybe making sure that everybody was dead? Well, you got roadblocks being put up when the fires were going on. Roadblocks forcing people so they couldn't get out. They were nowhere to go. And then they were exterminated. Then in the middle of all of these fires, once they started, so intense. I mean, as far as I know, the most intense fires were only like 17 minutes. It was so like this. And so, yeah, it's unbelievable. In the middle of all of that, they turned off the water. The water was turned off. Please look again at what was not working, like Fred Prouty was talking about. Look, don't look only what happened, look what did not happen. And here suddenly the water did not happen in the middle of these fires. So people were scooping water from the toilets trying to turn out the fires and stuff like that. Unbelievably evil. You know, where are the fire trucks? Have you seen any images of fire trucks? Have you seen any firefighters? Have you seen? No. There's some interviews with a few of them. I'm not pointing fingers at them. I'm just saying it's very odd that there's not more. There are no interviews, as far as I've seen, hardly, of any firefighters. Where were they? Well, they're showing photos of two burnt out, what might have been fire trucks. It's very hard to see what these vehicles used to be. But then when they're saying, well, these two fire trucks burned, and then they said that these firefighters had to run for their life and were picked up in police cars and driven out, leaving people to their own destiny and out there. So then afterwards, I mean, all of these things are odd to say the least, what is happening there. And so also the way that these fires were laser-like precision, moving from leave that house, take that house out, leave that house. And once again, we're seeing that dustified. It's just like white powder. And I think very toxic white powder as well. You see after 9/11, many of the first responders, the firefighters and police officers on site have had incredible health problems afterwards. Yeah. Many thousands, so many have died, horrible deaths because of that. Here we see again, they say, oh, the water is toxic, don't even shower in it. If that is to control the area or not, I don't know. So when all of this happened, I mean, horror, horror, horror. One thing I want to say also that is very strange is that when you hear eyewitness reports and also film sequences, there's no screaming, there's no people running out from houses on fire. There's no, I haven't seen any bandages at all, you know, of anyone burned a hand or an arm or that, you know, nothing. It's either completely fine or not there. So after the fires themselves, you would think that, oh my God, this is such a disaster. Let's help. Let's help, especially people like Oprah, who's this, I mean, I really used to like Oprah a lot. What on earth happened to her? So here we have these people that have moved in position, billionaires, Jeff Bezos, Oprah. Oprah had bought up loads of lands. I mean, I think she's got like 9 properties on Maui, 9 properties, about 1,000 hectares, something like that, massive. And the latest one she bought in February, there's a lot going on in February here, and she bought it for $6.6 million. It's an interesting number again. Regarding also 666, you have this build beyond barriers and also build back better with Biden and the World Economic Forum. These slogans are being used. And when you look at build back better, if it's not capital letters, you got like BBB, which is, if you ask me, 666, because it looks, it's for your subconscious also, it almost looks like 666, these 3 Bs. So anyway, so Oprah comes in with a great heart, and you have part of the psychological operation, I believe, is that they're showing who is doing it, showing who they're doing it. You got weird ways of showing this. There's a company called BlackRock that is a very, very bizarre company. Who owns it? Nobody really knows. I think the Swedish family Wallenberg that I pointed out many times are major ones in the scenes behind. There are these 3 companies, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. These 3, who are they? Very anonymous, extremely powerful. They own so much of the world, so it's unbelievable. And they're the 2nd biggest landowners on Hawaii. You got the Hawaiian state itself, and then comes Alexander and Baldwin, a company owned by BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. They're the ones owning. They're the 2nd biggest landholder. And then you got like people like Oprah and Jeff Bezos and so on. So let's see. Yeah. I'm sort of like putting dots together. Please bear with me. But sometimes they're putting it in our subconscious. They have to put it out there. Who's doing it? And I don't know if I'm correct or not, but there was an incident at an award show about a year or so ago, maybe longer, where this comedian Chris Rock was hit by a black actor called Will Smith in the middle of nowhere. He just stood up. You insulted my wife, and he just smacked Chris Rock in the face. This made headlines all over the place. If you look at the headlines, very often the word black comedian Chris Rock, Black Rock, were in the headlines with capital letters, Black Rock. Then here you have the world's most successful black TV host, Oprah, together with The Rock, whatever his name, Dwayne Johnson. They are now asking for money. And you will see Oprah's always to the left, and then The Rock, to Black Rock. I don't know, maybe I'm overdoing it, but
Oh, wow, that's interesting. That's a nice tie-in. How about that?
And so Oprah, you would think, with a heart the size of Manhattan, if you ask her, I mean, if I had 9 properties on Maui, I would say, and all of these people are homeless and in a horrible situation, my God, use 8 of my properties. They're massive. I got so much place. I've got like this. I've got billions in the bank. I'll sort this, guys. This is my island. We're family. Bring them here. Is that what we see? Absolutely not. Exactly the contrary. They go out and say to ordinary people, please, you who are absolutely screwed financially by now, please put out your piggybacks. No, what do they call these? All the coins and everything that you sell off some furniture, and send the money here. We will make sure that they will go to the people who really need them. Really, when you start looking through the numbers, where the hell are they going? And this goes straight back into this. I'm not sure if it's a foundation that The Rock and her has started. It's nothing new. It's part of a celebrity foundation that has been has been active for at least 40 years or something like that. And when you look at these numbers, where does the money go? The Red Cross is there as well. That is a bizarre organization as well. Where's the money going? These people that are based on funding donations from people that really care, look at their wages. It's like $500,000 there, 800,000 there, 400,000 there. Who are they even? I'm like, when I give to someone, I would like that money to go to the one who needs it, not these individuals, but that's what we see over and over again. And also on Oprah's property, there's this road that goes, it's a shortcut from one end of the island to the other, which would be very handy in a situation of crisis. Will she allow people there? No, it's my private property, bugger off. And Mark Zuckerberg, and they've just built walls. Like, it's not even their land on the inside, but they just build a wall and saying, well, if you trespass, we will sue the hell out of you. So a lot of Hawaiian people are on the other side of the wall. Their land is on the inside. They can't do anything. What is going on? There's an invasion. There's a land grab going on. There is a invasion, rape, and plunder. That is exactly what's going on here, according to Agenda 21. It's a very brutal agenda, where also now Josh Green, the governor here, who's very, very dubious, I mean, very, very shady character when you look into his background and his action and his wordings, and very, very odd. He's also got band-aids of different colors on his hands that keeps moving. You know, like one day it's a blue band-aid, the next one is a purple on that finger. There's some kind of color coding messaging going on.
Yeah.
And also he's been portrayed as this hero. I mean, he's a doctor as well. So in some of these where he's been taking filmed interviews and stuff, like, he's got like a stethoscope on outdoors in the middle of burnt out houses. There's no people. Who are you going to check the heartbeat on? But it looks good, you know. And in one of these ones, he's got like a purple, what do you call it? A purple bow tie tied on his shoulder. You know, the purple we're talking about many times before in these other purple and magenta. He's got a bow tie on his shoulder and then colored band-aids. What is going on? It's bizarre.
Wow.
And wording they use as well. One word that I kept bumping into when I've been looking into alleged terror attacks is resilience. What they call resilience, just the correct translation is their terror actions. Their terror, real terror carried out by them. They call it the resilience. The resilience network, the resilient cities, the resilient, no, in the areas that have been in the receiving end of their terror actions or are about to be hit like that. And sustainability, what is that word? And when these wordings come up, you have to say, please be aware something fishy is going on, and there's a brutal one. So Josh Green, anyway, he's now going in and he's talking about how he can help the state get in control of the land, because that is what they're doing. They're moving out the local population. They're moving them out and they're taking over properties and land. And they say, well, it's for the workforce housing. The workforce housing? What does that even mean? That sounds like slave quarters, if you ask me. That's what they need the land for. And also for monuments, memorial stuff like that. How big do they want them? I mean, normally it would be like a plaque with the names of whoever died. They can't even figure out where all these people went or died or who's missing. They say, the police chief said the fires were so hot that the only thing they've got is like dust on the floor or under the shoes that they had to scrape up and do rapid DNA tests. What on earth are you saying? And so they're collecting the DNA from the population on the island so that they can identify these ashes. But I mean, you cannot get DNA from ash. You cannot. If it's burned, it's burned. There's no DNA in it. But here they say, well, it was so horrible, we had to scrape it off our shoes almost. That is what we had to face. Really? So there's also, Michael, if you got any comments or questions, go for it. I'm just
yeah, I just wanted to comment. You mentioned about the people that have passed since 9/11. It is very substantial. So I looked into this. There's people that are into the radiation effect from a directed energy weapon, and they cause cancers and so forth, all the things that you would get from like a nuclear blast. So it's the same thing. So there were 343 New York firefighters who died during the 2001 attacks. So far, there's been another 341, almost the same number of firefighters, just firefighters. And they keep adding. So just last Memorial, September 6th, they added 43 more names. So the death toll is still going up dramatically. So they're monitoring up to 71,000 people, 71,000 people that are having problems post 9/11 from exposure. And of course, they say it's the dust and the jet fuel, and it's like, jet fuel? I thought that all burned up. So there's lots of bullshit that goes on with this, but it's a radiological event. And that's the issue that's happening there. That's why you see a lot of the FEMA workers or whoever's in there like doing work. A lot of times they'll be in total like gear that you would wear in a nuclear event. So and they get washed down afterwards and everything. So and that's what we used to wear when I was in the military. We had gear like that, and we would do we go through cycle of wash down, and they get out of here. And I've seen them going through that wash down cycle. So they know what they're doing. The people that are there, collecting samples, working in those areas, you see them all suited up. So that's one of the issues about a directed energy weapon. So they know that. They know that because they did it. Somebody within the United States government who has been doing attacks against its citizens for a long time. So I just released an article where back in the 1950s and 60s, they were dropping radiation on St. Louis low-income housing project areas with 20,000, and also did it with spraying from aircraft in a Texas town. So this has been and it was a top secret thing, and they're not telling anybody what the effects of these experiments were. So they've been experimenting on the population for a long time. I've known this. A lot of people know this, and you're probably getting to that point that was this an experiment to see, what the directed energy weapon effects would be like because we've already seen these in other areas. But there's also other things they do it for, like you're talking about. They want that land. They want to, I think you might have mentioned this, they want to like have the islands just for themselves, and then the slaves are on the mainland, and they have some businesses there, and they go visit the businesses occasionally and make sure the slaves are working correctly, and then come back to their paradise islands.
These biological experiments have been ongoing, and most of it from the US point of view. I mean, very bizarre, evil core elements inside with mad scientists that it's not only these places you're talking about. They released this disease inside the city of New York as well, like unbelievable. But I think it's interesting when you were mentioning here, was it St. Louis or wherever it was, like low income areas, that is another cleansing so that you carry out experiments, you test out different warfare elements. At the same time, you clear an area, so people start dying off. The real estate prices goes down because, my God, people are sick in there. It's horrible. Nobody can go in there. So people leave it. You got the cleansing effect again. These areas can then be bought up for nothing, for pennies, and then rebuilt as luxury thing. It's happening again and again. Natural events or diseases that just comes, well, there was a lot of chemtrailing going on and suddenly people were sick. I cannot see that it could be connected in any way or form. Or is it possible? So, boom. School children. So we have here, they say suddenly that the death toll is going down. I love that, because that's also what we've seen in different these operations, that the death toll is like that. Like we had in Norway, the alleged mass shooting at Utøya and the blowing up of the government building in 2011, I think it was on the, it doesn't matter, in July. First, they say, oh, it's so horrible. There was 89 dead people. Then that number went down to 69. I think it was 88, sorry. That number went down to 69, and then it ended up 77. Okay, so my question is, like, if you got 88 dead bodies, I mean, that one is not breathing. That one is missing a head. That one is not moving at all. Even if whatever I do, that's a dead individual. Okay, you count them, you make all the documents official, and then suddenly, no, it was only 69. We miscalculated because they had put blankets over the dead body. So we're like, oh, what the hell is that? Normally, the death count goes up. You have dead people to start with. You got some injured. Some are so badly injured that they stop living. Boom, that's another one that you put on the list of dead individuals, not going down. It's like, so here reincarnation is working really fast, because, I mean, yesterday this one was dead, cold and stiff, and now he's back up. Very odd with these numbers, but look again, who's in control of the numbers? Can these individuals be trusted? Hell no, literally hell no, absolutely not. So we have this whole thing with 1,200 students missing. That is a lot of kids that are missing. Where are they? Nobody knows. Okay, so 1,200, as far as I know, are unaccounted for. A normal child will have two parents, maybe more in these days of weird gender crap, whatever, but at least two biological ones. That would start wondering, where is my child? So have we heard from desperate parents that are crying and saying, oh my God, my child is missing? I haven't. Maybe I've just missed out on it, but there should be like at least 2,000 parents asking, where is my child? Where's our children? We don't hear them. So maybe it's not only 1,200 school kids that are missing, but including their parents also. How is that even possible? But what can I say? I'm just saying from an objective point of view, where are they? And so when you look into the, there was, 1,200 undetermined, as they say, that didn't sign up afterwards. After the fires, there was about 781 that re-enrolled in other high schools, and schools around on the island. 875 was learning distance learning, homeschooling, that type of thing. And then 130 enrolled outside the area, but there's still 1,200 unaccounted for. So also there's like between 12 or 15 of these big yellow school buses missing. They're just not there. Okay, maybe they were destroyed in the fire, but I have footage of a long caravan of yellow buses going out on the day of the disaster. Where did they go? Why did they drive out of the area? Was there anyone in them? I don't know. So now I have footage. It's very hard to see, but there's this man who's filming what looks like a gated off area, fenced off area, possibly some kind of military base, it looks like, where he's filming saying, could these be the school buses that are missing? It's inside this fenced off area. So when you look at the paper you know, like the schedules and the websites for the especially this these high schools that we're talking about, there's like the dates doesn't match up. There's like 3 different places that I found where instead of 2023, the 8th of August 2023, it's the 8th of August 2024. That only that exact date is the wrong year. And then they say on that date, they say freshman transfer student, new transfer student orientation. I find that wording interesting because transfer would also possibly mean get on the buses and move out, you know, also because there were these warnings, weather warnings and stuff. Maybe the school said, you know, for your security, please enter the buses. We will now drive you to a safe location, or we'll drive you home, or whatever. But instead of that, where did they go? Where did these buses go? Why are they not accounted for? And so in these type of situations, what I look for are big military cargo planes, because when these operations happen, very often you got like C-130s coming in, or more modern planes like C-17, Globemaster 3, these type of massive planes that cost a fortune to just get off into the air. Why are they being used in and out of these areas? And they, well, it's disaster relief and help these and that. Okay, that's fantastic. But here we are in a situation where help was being flown in, they said. Joe Biden came in and said, looking forward to see FEMA finish the job. So Biden, who's just thinking about giving another 40 billions to the Ukraine, and who's pumping out, I think, about $10 million per day, as far as I know, to Israel to deal with the Palestinian extinction, that type of thing. Here, when suddenly American citizens need it, suddenly it's $700 per household, not just per person for a month, but per house. At the same time, dollars is nothing on an island like that. The prices are really high. So what is that? And at the same time, FEMA was the FEMA agents, and there was quite a lot of them that were there even before the fire started. I find that interesting as well. Everybody else had left the island. They were there before the fire started. Where are they staying? There are 3 5-star hotels there where they're staying. It's from 1,000 up to 4,500 per night. That's where FEMA is staying. Not Airbnb, not shelters, not workforce housing. What the hell? And 700 per household. Can you see, is there any kind of balance here going on? No, not at all. Somebody's giving us the fingers big time. So food, okay, so we have these big C-130s. That is amazing. Fly in, tons of food, tons of supply, water, clothing, all of, is that what we see? No, they're left with nothing. They don't have food, they haven't got gas, they haven't got clothing, they haven't got housing. They've lost everything, literally everything. Everything is gone. And so these planes are flying in and out. So I have started to track these planes because I think they are interesting, because what are they bringing in? And here there were food flown in and supplies and stuff, but for health reasons, and also safety, caution, this and that, they were not delivered. Oh, what? And you can see also, I love it, they're interviewing somebody, you can see in the background, the military is unloading stuff from a truck. Look at they're taking these little boxes and they weigh nothing. They're full of emptiness. There's nothing in them. You can see. Normally it would be like, oh! No, they're doing like this. Like this. Maybe there's printing paper or something like that. I would say wrapping, bubble wrapping or something. It sounds more like it. And look in the background.
Stuff they're going to steal. Yeah, exactly.
Also, because listen to the sound. The sound is uncut. but the background seems to be looped. So I think the people interviewed are just standing in front of a green screen, and because the guy interviewing is moving like this, the background is paused at times, and then they keep handing these boxes of nothing, you know, and they're like 4 people giving a box to the next one because it's O2, it's overwhelming, the weight of this. I mean, please get me a donkey or something so I can move it the next meter where the other person is standing doing absolutely nothing. Like, what is going on? So these big C-130s, apparently, I mean, they're coming for a reason. Normally things are done for a reason. So what did they carry in? What are they carrying out? I would strongly suggest that in a few years ago, there was 870 people or something like that transported out from Kabul in Afghanistan in one of these Globemaster 3 C-17, you know, 870 people in one load. That's 2 of these planes, and you got like 1,200 school kids, their parents, family, whatever, could be in 2 of those. Whoop! And suddenly, where did they go? Who knows? Track the planes. That's what I say. So I've started tracking the planes, and there's I've got especially. I mean, like, I'm sure Flight Radar Pro and these type of people, if I had the money, I would sign up and really start going into it. Please help me with these type of things. Go back and start seeing what planes were flying in and out of Maui from a month before and until a month after. But there's especially one that sticks out. It's called Linden Air Cargo, Linden Air Cargo. And the numbers, let me just see here. It is, here comes the glasses. I am tired. It's, there's 2 Lockheed C-130s, L-38-2G. It's a C-130 Hercules. And the other Hercules, there's 2 others called N-40FLC and N-49LC. These 2, as far as I can see, have been flying in and out. And I checked out because in the old days, the CIA operations were normally carried out by Air America. Then that turned into Evergreen Airlines. Evergreen also, if you remember, it was Evergreen, that the ship that just happened to block the whole Suez Canal because they parked wrong. I mean, how can you even get, it's unbelievable, blocked the whole world. You had, like, on the high roads and highways in China, Evergreen container trucks that just, oh my God, something happened. I just happened to park like this, blocking all 6 lanes. It's, yeah, Evergreen, and also the code name for Hillary, sorry, is Evergreen, was Evergreen as well. So this Evergreen is interesting. But anyway, I managed to track down this Linden, and they said formerly the CIA used to work with, like, Southern Air Transport, formerly a complete CIA airline like Air America, but now semi-serious. Linden Air Cargo, very often chartered in faraway continents on behalf of unnamed US government agencies, also employed in the US to fly supplies to CNA and NSA, and also up in Alaska. Hello. So here we have planes, massive big planes working for the CIA, unnamed US government agencies. What the hell does that even mean? You know, and in and out. Please help me track these planes also. We also got, there was just on September the 1st, there was one USAF C-130 Globemaster 3 flying in, then Air National Guard F-22, then a Growler VAQ-135, then a Stratotanker, Michael, please correct me if I'm wrong. Stratotanker is these ones that you can fill up while in the air, isn't it? That you fly
air
up.
refueling, yeah.
Yeah, I think these are Stratotankers. That, okay, so then you got Air National Guard F-22, another one, Pegasus is a massive big one. There's two of them. Another strata tanker, Air National Guard F-20. What are they doing flying in and out from here? Some of them, of course, normal operation. Some of them, I would strongly suggest, could very well be something else going on. And then you got like NATO planes as well. Massive, massive big one. There was one French plane, incredibly big, coming in, and one from the UK as well. So what are all of these planes doing there, especially when people are not being helped at all, at all?
I've been in the back of these before. There's a guy that's lays back here and he has a viewing window and he controls this boom that comes down and refuels. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, these toys are great, but it's especially when they're used for good.
For good.
Here
Yeah.
we talk about what is going on. And also, please notice that so many vehicles that is being driven around with people that looks like they're police are unmarked vehicles with foreign number plates. Where did they come from? I would strongly suggest they were being flown in like this. And please also notice people in uniforms, police uniforms, firefighters, FEMA uniforms, FBI. What the hell is FBI doing there? If it's not a crime scene, they should not be there at all. They're there. So just because they got uniforms on, please be aware they could very well be completely different individuals, but with uniforms on. That's the whole thing. So whatever is going on Maui, these rules that they're putting in place, the personnel that is there, the road workers that are there, that looks like road workers, is that local people? Are they hired by the local authorities to put up these miles of fencing? I think not. So who are they? These are, if you ask me, organized crime on a global scale, completely corrupted enemy forces on your territory if you are there. These people shouldn't, whatever they say, don't obey them. These, whatever, yeah, but it's the law, yes, the government. It's not. It's a brutal overtake of the first island in a long line of islands, if I'm correct, you know, turning them into smart islands. And this whole thing about, well, we can't let people go back to their properties even though they're undamaged for your security. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. The house owners are not allowed to enter into the houses. The government is, they can go in, knock in the door, do whatever they want in these houses. What they're going to do, if I'm correct, they're going to drag it out, drag it out, drag it out for your protection. You're not allowed to go back in. You're not allowed to go back in. And during that time, unfortunately, the state needs to take over. The government needs to take over these property to rebuild them for you, not. You will be maneuvered out and they will take over. Yeah. And this is also, you can see the laws have been changed just a few months ago, where this dear Mr. Josh Green, the governor, changed so that many of these monuments and natural places and stuff that are of high value, you know, to the population and tourism and so on, the security of them has been taken away so that they can do whatever they want. They can do with this whatever they want. And when we're looking into the whole Space Force thing, I can't remember how much we were talking about last time, but there are, what people are saying is that it came from above. Mm-hmm. Okay, so who has, when you come to a crime scene, it's with all of these things, look at it as a normal crime scene. Who had the motive? Who had the access to the weapons? Who had the access to the investigation? Who could control these things? You know, why? There's always a reason. And here we see that the ones with this type of technology is a very, very limited group force, very limited. And last time I pointed out Space Force, very, very bizarre organization, if you ask me, who also was taking part of what was called Talisman Saber is light sword 2023, with 13 different nations where they were carrying out this drill from July 22nd to August the 4th. They often have these drills and then they go live. They put everything in place and rehearse and do all the things, and then they go live. This is normally, that's why I found them, because this is a pattern. So I'm looking for the patterns and boom, there you go. So on their website, they're talking openly about that they were in Oahu at that time. In Oahu also, there's a center there that Space Force has taken over. It's called Kiana Space Force Center. Space Force Base, I think it's called. So right, very, very close to Lahaina. Lahaina is on the west coast of Maui. You got this thing. Then you got like Honolulu is right there where Pearl Harbor happened, and where many of the FEMA, they had like a FEMA conference where some of the most important key people were at the conference, not at the Maui Island. And then on the back of Maui, there's also something called the, let me see here, the Air Force Maui Optical and Supercomputing. And these ones site, it's called Amos. This one is a sister base to Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico. And Kirtland Air Force Base is a massive, massive big place that is specialized in directed energy weapons. And where they also got what they call war fighters, where they sit, you know, with virtual reality things. They're like with a like a computer game, but where they can actually live, you know, control these type of weaponry. And it's the US Space Force. Also, one of their logo, their emblems for one of these things is there's like the logo of Space Force, which is like a pyramid, triangular shape. There, it looks a lot like what is it called? Star Wars, that thing, but it's like a triangle. There are these three logos, and then with what looks like laser lights going down right into the position of Maui. I sent that to you the other day. Maybe if you got it, you could share it. It's like, what the hell? And that's the Indo-Pacific part of the US Space Force. And that's where all of these other nations with Paradise Islands, including Indonesia, was taking part of this whole operation. And so there was also on the 7th of February to the 1st of March, there was a wargaming with Pacific Partners special meeting in Honolulu, Hawaii, where the National Security Analytic Committee was promoting this wargaming thing, where they would combine, they say that, let me see here, wargaming and the broader category of professional gaming is a tool that has generated a lot of interest within the US Department of Defense. And so here we have where they're making a thing with professional gamers. I mean, kids and teenagers that are super good in gaming, and now they combine it with warfare, you know, where also you got like, where they have these, what they call theaters, where these virtual war fighters can play out. So they take from the gaming view, where you're shooting at stuff like, yeah, bang, 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 and you have sniper rifles, all of these things, and it's a game, and you just do like this, and suddenly you got live targets, and you use the best of the best, you pay them a lot. Maybe they're not even really informed about what they're doing. Just like there's plenty of interviews with drone operators that used to be gamers that was then recruited by the military. And now I saw this guy, he was sitting there, he looked really sad. He had killed more than 1,600 people, 1,600 people. Now he was crying and saying, I need therapy. Well, you sure do. You should maybe have thought about that before you started saying yes to absolutely mass murder. But this is, they distance people, the humanity is taken away from these things so that it's more and more easy for people to press on a button if they cannot smell, see guts all over the place, blood and burned flesh or whatever. You just press the button, boom, you hit it. Yeah, let's celebrate. So was that just a coincidence that FEMA, that these war game thing, all of this was being put in position? Oprah was buying up the land. They were starting to control water, air, all of these things. In the month coming up, they changed the laws so that these land grabs can just be carried out, and so on. It just goes on and on. And I know I've been rambling on for quite a while. What I would very much like to say, please understand, these poor people in Maui are not an isolated account if we don't do something. You know, it's not isolated. It's one of many they have prepared. And I'm sitting on an island that looks more or less identical to Maui. I am not comfortable with that. And maybe I'm going to get some blue tarp on the roof, whatever. Yeah. But I mean, that would be like, oh, what is going on here? So to speak directly to the people of Maui, I was on Hawaiian radio yesterday when I was going into great detail saying, please be aware, the people that are there with shades, no badge number, no name tags, but uniform, whatever that uniform looks like, they are the enemy. Maybe they're not aware of the agenda. They are the enemy. They are following orders, but it's completely illegal. All of these clausules and whatever they put in there, and you have and roadblocks, these are enemy roadblocks. Please be aware of that. Just because they've got a uniform on does not mean that they're that they are Hawaiian police. Why are they anonymous vehicles? Where did this black fencing come from? Miles and miles. Did they go down the local hardware shop and say, well, I want 2 miles of that, the black one, please? No, it was transported in.
Oh, yeah.
Road workers working for some kind of agency was transported in. The military that is there controlling the area, and the population is like, oh, it's so great, you know, because now we know for sure nobody's looting it. Are you sure? Or maybe they're the ones looting it, you know. Also, they're also cleaning up the crime scene, all the plastic items, everything. It's that will be done by them. They say you cannot go in, you cannot drink the water, so they place these water holes in different locations away from the area, so that people need to go there, not in. Why have they banned drone footage? Why is this fencing going on? Why are the roadblocks up there? It will continue. Don't wait for this to continue. You think you would be allowed back into your houses. I've got bad news for you. They're not going to allow you. That's just the way it is. Or the ones that are in hand-picked areas where that has not been destroyed, maybe with blue roofs and so on, will be allowed back in, but there would be like curfews, there would be martial law because of whatever bullshit they're coming up with. It's to control the area, and then you will be moved out as well. We just need to redo this and rebuild this. So for this purpose, please relocate yourself, get the hell out of here, so we can get them out. And then you will not be allowed back in if you're not completely vaxxed, if you're not completely this and that and digital this, and you will be in the grid.
Yep.
So there's a brutal mass murder going on. There's a brutal kidnapping of thousands of children and people, maybe now sitting in some army base underground dump or being sold off in pedophile trafficking, organ trafficking. I mean, the level of horror in these stories are unbelievable. So don't wait for it. Don't you take a step ahead. And also, we have these websites where they're talking about Talisman Saber 23, or put these people make them responsible, make them answer some questions. What did you do in these drills? What was going on in these exercises? Please show us documentation. Who is there? What were they doing? Where were they doing it? 30,000 personnel was taking part of this exercise. Okay, have we seen any of them? No. Where are they? I would suggest maybe they're the road workers, they're the this, they're the that. All of these are the 30,000, but in different areas. Yeah, I've scratched a little more on the surface, but yeah, we have to really do something.
So I keep bringing awareness to people. So that's it seems like they're squeezing this out though.
Yeah. So have you got blue tarp on your roof?
It's a blue house.
Well, good for you, maybe. I don't know if I haven't managed to make people aware of that something very bizarre is going on. I have completely failed. So now my heart is absolutely breaking for these people.
Yeah, it seems like they're not being allowed to talk about it anymore. They're being shut down.
It's a war. They're launching a war on us, and they're making it look really nice and official and nice images, beautiful websites. It's warfare. It's warfare, and I think we need to understand what's going on so that we can stop letting them have the power, you know, giving them the power to do this. So I say, whatever the next step is, the answer is thank you, but no thank you. I'm so not doing it. Do not comply. Whatever it is they're going to throw at you. Now it's like in Sweden, oh God, I mean, like, tear my head off in boredom. Now they say that there's a virus hiding in the forest, so you cannot go into the forest because this virus will get you.
My God.
Really, the only place where people could get some kind of free air and have a deep breath in the forest. No, sorry, there's a virus out there just waiting to get you like that. You got the new Marburg. Are you bringing that one up again? Now they're going to come with a new wave of bioweapons. I mean, are people really going to buy into it this time? I don't think so. So I think there's an element of desperation. I really hope there is, because how are they going to do it? We are millions becoming aware, and they are not that many.
Yeah. There's so I ordered something earlier and it said that the UPS drivers are experiencing high levels of COVID-19 sickness, so it may be delayed. I'm like, really? And there's we have in the chat, we have somebody from the Philippines, and she's saying they're going to push the vaccine on the 20th. So they're pushing the vaccine again, and they're starting it at 6 months now. So if you get the vaccination now, you're going to be good for this new variant that's already come out. So we already got the vaccination ready. It's insane.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah. So yeah, what's it say? The end of times. If you look at the book of Revelations, they're describing exactly this. The mark of the beast, you got firestorms, you got tornadoes, you got floodings, you got all of that. Is that what we're experiencing? You got like Nostradamus, you got Martinus is another very interesting Danish man that lived many years ago, who was also describing the end of times, which is, and this was in 1938 or something like that. He described more or less exactly what we're going through now. But what he said is that this is happening to us for a reason. And the reason is to become more human, to be a better human being, to show, to get a chance to live in excellence, we're seeing the agenda is to dehumanize, to make us completely in service of self, our own greed and desires, and just not give a fuck about anyone else. Here, there's an opportunity to look yourself in the mirror and say, who am I? Who am I when the shit hits the fan, or the fan hits the shit, as my sweetheart Kim sometimes says by mistake. So who am I in a situation where suddenly the house is on fire, this is going down? Am I the one that would just chicken out and turn my back to other people? Or am I the one that will be there, stand up in truth, and with a big heart, do everything I can? I would say, why not impress yourself? Why not stop whining, start shining, and become the best version of yourself? And yes, maybe it will end with you dying. That would be the ultimate price to pay. But I mean, I've been told that there's an expiry date on this meat suit anyway. So maybe if I choose to go out with a flag in the top, what a ride, yay, baby. I'm so proud of myself. It's amazing, amazing. This journey, I was shit scared, I was in love, I had adventure, I had fear, I had drama, all of that. Thank you. Game over. Maybe I'll come back, if reincarnation is real. If not, it was a hell of a ride. Or I can die 93 years old in diapers, completely forgotten by everybody else, lived like a chicken and a coward, and lying there dying, regretting everything. The option is yours. The option is mine. The choice is ours. And I think this is a time to really just stand in our truth, whatever that truth is, and make it, like, really draw a line in the sand and saying, it's not happening. This is it. I'm not moving. I'm a non-minded person. I know we see things differently. I don't approve of violence if it can be avoided. But you have to make a stand here. If we don't do it, it's game over. It's down the drain. They're very open with their agenda. I mean, if you go into the World Economic Forum, extremely detailed planning. Agenda 21, you will own nothing and be happy. They will control everything. I mean, everything. They will own everything, including your children. That's the plan, and it's moving fast, very forward. Moving forward very fast, I meant to say. It's time for me to be quiet, Michael. I enjoyed my time with you.
Been very good. So just to clarify, the person in the chat said it's in Japan that the vaccination starts on the 20th, not in the Philippines. So Light on Conspiracies, your website. So it's always good to let everybody see what you're up to these days.
I don't know why it's not loading for some reason.
There we go.
There. Yeah, I think it's interesting with Japan. Here we had this big Talisman Saber 23, where Japan was one of the participants. The Philippines was one of the participants. Fiji, Tonga, Indonesia, Thailand. Many of these paradise islands were involved in that. Now we have this whole release now, or whatever it is. The same crap. Please be aware, it's not one singular operation. They're working together. It's like an attack from all different directions at the moment. So be aware and say no.
Absolutely. All right, Ole, thanks so much. Bringing light on the world, light on conspiracies. It is a tough job, but you're staying on point. It does make a difference, informing people to break free from the control system.
And please check out Peggy Hall. She is really doing an incredible job. Support individuals like that, so that they have the stamina to continue. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. So whoever you respect, please back them, because most of us are one-man bands and it's a rough one. So keep that in mind. We're trying to save all our asses at the same time.
All right. Well, thank you, Ole. And thanks everybody that joined us, and stay in the love vibration. We'll see you guys next time.
And thank you, Tracy. Bye-bye.